Hello, 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 and welcome to Beyond Hegemony. We've been gone for a minute. We've been gone for a minute. I think, I don't know about you, Gary. I think it was just like I needed to decompress from all of it for like a minute and a half. Like I know that you were
Two
doing.
minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just be real. More like 20 minutes, okay? But I know that you were doing your part to try to get the election to come in the UK, to
Mhm.
come to a better result that it did not. But hey,
Mhm.
we put the energy in the right place, and that's all we can do, right? And
Exactly.
and Shahana, she is dealing with some personal family stuff, and so we send love and healing and blessings to her, and the journey that she's on. But she will be back in a few weeks, hopefully. And so, yeah,
Okay.
Gary, like, tell everybody what you've been doing, just like kind of like.
This is like classic Gary, Trina, Sahana, right? It's like what haven't we been doing in the last few
Yeah.
weeks? But no, it's before we came on live, right? We were talking about the hegemony. You were talking about your podcast and masculinity and feminine, masculine energy, and I just think that's a really nice seed for our chat today because that's a lot of
Mm,
where I've been observing, right? I think we've spoken a lot about this over the months around
mm,
how the more we're able to zoom out, observe,
mhm,
while
mhm,
staying in the stickiness of what's actually going on, you start
mhm,
to really get an appreciation of what's really happening. And I had like the last 7 weeks of diving deep into the UK general election because for those out there that may not know, I'm actually the co-chair of the Dartford Grace and Green Party. So I'm actually been an activist in local political circles. I'm running community groups for the Neighbourhood Watch. I'm working in the chemicals industry, trying to disrupt that from the inside out and have the conversations they don't want to have. And all of this stuff, Trina, it's taken a lot of energy. And I feel like though I'm just starting to, like that coalescing, right? All of these seemingly different things are all deeply interconnected. And sometimes it's quite heavy because they're
yeah.
quite deep topics at the same time. And it's just a bit like, whew, but I'm coming back up. So that's what I've been doing. How about you, Trina? What you've been ducking and diving and learning and unlearning about in these past weeks?
Well, for me, I'm a mom. I'm a single mom 99% of the time. Dad pops in when he suits himself. Um, but I had a very interesting conversation, and I have another podcast, and this is going to dip into what I just recorded today. But I've been trying to, with my clients and as well with my son, and my son has always been an inspiration for me to understand things on a deeper level so that I can help him be the best version of himself
Mm-hmm.
as a male in a toxic patriarchy. And so, trying to explain masculine and feminine energies rather than as a tangible thing, but as what it really is, a nuanced vibration, light, dark, coalescing around each other and balancing rather than oppressing one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything that we learn, how we learn, is so binary, so linear, that this concept sounds like blah, bitty, blah, blah, blah. But as you said, all things are interconnected. And if you really like cultivate a polymathic mind, like I always say, you can see how this has been a purposeful uh, defragmentation of something that is enmeshed with each other, that breathes in and breathes out to support each other, but has been turned into a yet again another divide and conquer tactic of the hegemony. So yeah, so basically I just told them, I say, well, all males are female in the beginning. Because if not, the female body will see it as an intruder and reject it. And another fact, most miscarriages are male fetuses. I don't know if you knew that.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yes, I was looking that up. I just had funny part is I had a dream about it, and I am unfortunately I had a miscarriage, and I was just like, wow, now all of that makes sense. Why the big, huge celebration in the medieval times and everything when there was a male born? Why is this so a standard, like, uh, what's the word I'm trying to say? Like the specialness of a male being born was because it was such a rarity to happen successfully. And then that's connected to the survival. Uh, you know, I feel like that just starts in utero because the female body is like, get this out of me. What is this? What is this? And also starving it of certain nutrients and certain things throughout the whole time because the cognitive thing is so different. Women have more gray matter, hence the ability to multitask with such success. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's there's all it's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. As a male, how does that feel to you?
Honestly, it took me a long time to work out for myself, right? And I think this is the
Mhm.
interesting thing. We were talking about masculinity and the different energies. It took me having the salary, the car, the life setup, everything that media and the society and education had taught me mattered, right?
Mhm.
It took me having it all to realize how spiritually bankrupt I was once I had all of that.
Mhm.
And that was a massive
Mhm.
realization, Trina, because I now know that was a binary moment of do I go down the midlife crisis or nearly third life crisis? Sort of, I was what, 30, 33, 34. But I was
Mhm.
aware enough cosmically somehow in that moment. I went, this is curious. How can I have all of
Mhm.
this and feel so empty on the inside? And that started
Mhm.
me on my own sort of journey, which I continue on after a decade, just around that. So I'm absolutely with you and feel, to answer your question, it's
Mhm.
freeing. And this is what most men
Mhm.
don't realize is that the weight, the weight that comes with carrying fear, the weight that carries with wearing multiple masks of who you think you've got to show up as with a different person, that is de-energizing. It is degenerative. It is absolutely knackering. But us men, I empathize, have been designed and conditioned to carry all this shit around with us because we have to be the man. Don't show weakness. Look after your pretty little lady who needs you, otherwise they're going
Yeah.
to completely die. So it's been very clever, the hegemony, like you say, by design. How, hey, little lady, you need this big man to support you, and hey, big man, she needs you to support her. And they've just gone right through the middle, rickshaw, and gone, ha, 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 look at
Yeah.
the state of all of you. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. These.
so I love it. I love that we're able to have these conversations around energy and not
Mhm.
gender. Yeah,
Yes.
feminine and masculine energy, because we've got all of it. We are all of it, all at the same time. You are me, I am you. I'm not going to co-opt anybody's traditions, but that's a very real thing, and I feel it, Trina. It's a very real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the biggest con that hegemony has created, and all of its parts and its structure, the religion, the political aspects. You know, speaking of politics, the U.S. is going through their madness process right now, and it's amazing to me that with the cognitive decline of Biden, and of course Trump is just Trump, and now that he's got his photo op of being shot, he thinks he's going to get all of the people. Totally staged, in my opinion. It just totally staged. But this could be solved very easily for the Democrats. There's Kamala, right? Kamala is his VP. Why
Hmm.
wouldn't that would be the idea solution, right? But they will not put a black woman in that position. They will not do that because guess what? Pretty sure she would win. I'm positive she would win at this point.
So, genuine question for those listening. I'm curious as to your perspective. What is it about? Yes, she's a black woman, but what is it systemically? What is it about the hegemony that will not allow an obvious route to win?
Mm. Well, first of all, you can see who has the most spiritual energy and power by who is the most oppressed. Okay, um, on a historical and a level, black women in particular, were seen as spiritual leaders. During the change of the guard in hospitals and things like that, most midwives in America were black women,
Hmm.
descendants of slaves. And so when it comes to birthing, literally birthing a nation, that's where we're at. We're at the root of that.
Hmm.
And it's this is throughout time, you know, when the Queen of Sheba, when you think about all of these historical figures, um, there's been a lot of power, and there's something called the seats of power, that kind of like connects to the Roman Catholic um, thievery of the seats of power, which was three wise black women sort of were kind of regulating the entirety of humanity on a spiritual realm and a guiding way. And so that was stolen. Um, I'll have to remember the exact story and reference, but that just popped into my head, so I said
Hmm.
it. And like I always tell people, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Do your own research. I'm not one of those regurgitators, paragraph 3 of blah, 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 to try to, solidify my point to prove that I'm right. I'm not an expert and I don't want to be. I want to be a forever learner and understander and understander of things. So, yeah. But that's to me is, I think, a huge part of it. I think that they're
Hmm.
afraid that that power that they have co-opted and stolen will be
Hmm.
returned to the people.
It makes such a lot of sense because another way that hegemony shows up here in the UK politically and within the communities, Trina, is proportional representation as a voting system, right? The Labour
Hmm.
Party, who won a landslide at the last election a couple of weeks ago here, they were pro reforming the voting system when they weren't
Hmm.
guaranteed of getting in. As soon as the
Mm.
overwhelming evidence was that they were going to get in, we're no longer interested. So this just again is a ridiculous perpetuation of that toxic masculine energy
That's
where
right.
someone literally is like, how do we play game with this system that we can choose what it looks like because we've got the
Right.
power, so we can design how this system looks for the next 1 year, 2 year. Another example of this is the boundaries. So before the election, Trina, the current
Hmm.
government redrew some of the boundaries in the constituencies to try and benefit them based on the voting and like so the amount of manipulation of the game is something I think far too few people truly understand with the hegemony.
Yeah.
Is that like it's just a big game, right? It's an arcade game with these guys and
Right.
girls and whoever. Like, we are literally we're Pac-Man, and they actually are the arcade machine, and they're actually
Yeah.
designing the game that we're running around in. And it's like,
Yep.
hey, but we don't need to do that. We can completely reimagine the game.
Yeah. And that's what they do constantly. And the only thing is that we're just like the little Pac-Mans in the fruit going, da, 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 not really understanding. I mean, it's almost like when what's it called? Simulation theory, you know, um, talking about how we're all in this simulation. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And this brings me to something as well. The Matrix movies, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was all written by a black woman, right?
I'm pretty sure I did know that. I'm pretty sure I did know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So they stole that that screenplay and that storyline from a black woman, and she did win. Except you didn't hear anything about it anymore. So
Oh,
she does get
my
credit. Yeah.
God. I didn't.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't realize it is literally her movie or her script stolen or her idea stolen. I did not know that part.
Literally,
Wow.
she turned it into, I think it was Warner Brothers Studios, I think it was, in 1983. It sat on the back burner until the Wachowski brothers, or now Wachowski sisters, um, took it and created. And James Cameron stole the Terminator from her because the Terminator and the Matrix were together. Neo is the child that grew up.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
goodness.
it was it and when you hear her explain it, it's so clear. It's so clear that she wrote it. And she got that story from her Native American grandmother's creation story.
Wow.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, there's so much that is hidden from us. And then they regurgitate it in a way to tell us the truth, but to make us believe that it's fantasy and it's imagination. And I really do. You saying that they just reimagine the game is because we lack the collective consciousness to see that we're in this rigged system
Mm-hmm.
to oppress us throughout time. And it reminds me of the Mandela effect as well,
Mm-hmm.
where some of us woke up and said, "Wait a minute, didn't he die?" Or "Wait a minute, there was a cornucopia on the Fruit of Looms. I know, I remember the cornucopia. Uh, hey, Edmund Mann was the Price Waterhouse clearing guy, and they said that he never was. I was like, that's a lie. I remember him going to people with those big checks. I don't know if you've heard about this. I don't know if you know what that is in the UK, but
I have heard of it. Yes.
yeah. So that was like huge because I can clearly remember that as a little kid going, I wish they'd bring me a check, you know? Poor inner city girl going, oh, I want that. When will Edmund Man come to my house? But it's clear that that time is not linear, that we're kind of like ebbing and flowing in these different timelines. Um, but we just get distracted.
Well, it's probably a good time to
Yeah.
bring this up because before we jumped on live, Trina, you were talking about this. You talked to your son about masculine, feminine
Hmm.
energies, and I just want to give a big shout out to Lewis Howes and his book, The Mask of Masculinity, because I've actually got 7 copies over here among a load of other books,
Hmm.
Trina, and I've
Hmm.
got them ready to hand out to people that are willing to look in the mirror properly because
Yes.
it's beyond vulnerability is important, absolutely, it's part of the journey, but it really does just dissect in his opinion, the 9 different types of masks that men wear to stop them
Mm.
basically feeling. That's my summary of the book. How do
Wow.
we put another mask on, whether it be the athlete mask, the sexual mask, the joker mask, right? There's a load of ways that we men show up
Hmm.
to avoid having to feel what's going on in our body below our neck. Because I
Mm.
remember those experiences myself when I was taking drugs or whether I was taking alcohol, or whether it was sleeping with someone because I thought that was what's going to make me feel better, not actually going to understand the trauma or the upset I felt at that time. And we've got a
Right.
massively, and I see it in the workplace every day, the massive underdevelopment of men leaders that are running multi-billion and multi-trillion businesses globally And if these men would just get out of the way with love and let a Trina
Mm,
come in or a Sahana, and it's not to say they're bad people, they're absolutely not bad people, but they're totally misplaced and misguided. And to
right.
have people like you alongside them in these positions of power, I just know, Trina, I know overnight everything will shift.
Mm,
This is not a multi, it is multi-generational, but it also isn't because it's layered, right? So yes, there's a
right.
multi-generational healing part, but the ability to literally change course today, if there was a Trina next to the CEO of Shell and a Shahana next to the CEO of JP Morgan, right? If these people open themselves up enough to go, oh my God, I had no idea how interconnected everything was. I genuinely didn't know. Or I was
Hmm.
afraid to feel into that because I know I'd have to look in the mirror and go, oh, it's not all about me. Oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, and this is why this show is so important to me, Trina, is that me, you,
Hmm.
Shahana keep coming together because we are literally, we are literally one change thought away from
Yes.
everything tipping.
Yes. Yes. I do. I feel that every single day and every single time. Um, these things that happen that are supposed to pull us away, I'm noticing myself not even register them in the same way that I used to.
Mm.
They're just kind of like buzzing on the periphery. But there was a time where I would have turned my complete direction towards it and been like, I'm choosing a side. And then another thing, I'm choosing a side. I'm not feeling
Mm.
that anymore because it is not important. you know there's a bigger manipulation afoot. And if people would stop seeing things in this just real binary way and understand that history wasn't linear, that there was a video I posted about how there's a constant talk about the Holocaust, and we immediately go to World War II, but we forget that about the Holocaust in the Congo, in other parts of the world, in Vietnam, and all these things, because we have been focalized on one concept of what that word is, and
Mm.
it's been manipulated. Now look at the world, hmm, and who's doing all the puppeteering right now. Now we see it like, whoa, we have been played for a very long time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's not just one country. It's just that we see that one country who's been kind of like underneath the periphery, moving moving pieces of the board. In the UK, look who's in charge of all the technology. I swear, my cell phone keeps heating up. I know somebody's listening in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the technology, who's in charge of all the technology companies in the world right now? And I want to give you this. No,
Yeah.
stop listening to me. Mind your business.
Yeah. I look, we spoke about this on this show before, right? But just a
Right.
reminder to anyone watching as well: go and do a bit of research. If you've got a pension like me, you probably have. You're trying to provide a little bit. If you're working in a corporate space or in a business space, go and check who owns the companies that are in your share portfolio, and then
Mm-hmm.
check who owns the companies that own your shares, and then check the people that own the share people that own your portfolio. And you'll go
Mm-hmm.
all the way back up the chain and you'll find 5 companies rule the world: Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock, Fidelity, and there's another one that basically those top 5 companies ultimately, if you follow the money all the way back to source,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
5 companies that control technology, agricultural inputs, chemicals, education, transportation, aviation. 5 companies. And who funds and receives the benefit of those 5 companies? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Rothschilds, Gateses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a conspiracy people theory. Like you literally just follow the money. Like it's not even made up, right, Trina? It's not
Yeah,
even made
it
up.
it's not made up. And the funny part is that if I hear the word conspiracy theory one more time, as like it's some kooky thing, I'm just to reach out and smack somebody. Wake up, you know, because That is just, why do you think that phrase has been the poster child of some loony guy with a tinfoil hat? They have purposely been trying to make it seem anybody who is awake or understands the system or has connected the dots is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They're right. They're freaking right. And and I remember when all of this was happening with COVID and the vaccine and all the families that had been broken apart because of these lies, the perpetuation of these lies. It's criminal. Honestly, I feel like all of those people who were in charge of these big pharma companies should be have the prison built on top of them because they knew what they were doing and they knew the consequences of health that are happening right now for people and very young people just dropping and having heart attacks and long pieces of cartilage. And they still have the audacity to try to keep saying that's a conspiracy theory.
So I'm conscious we've got about 5 minutes left, but I want to put something on the back end of this, right? It's so important. So
Mm-hmm.
for those that may or may not know, so I still work in the chemicals industry. I'm trying to disrupt things from the inside out. I'm trying to have conversations we need to be having from inside industry. I believe that's my role, right? I genuinely do. I
Mm-hmm.
received a message, right, from within industry this morning, Trina, and I'm going to read it because it made my blog. This is a quote from a pharmaceutical company. You ready?
Yes.
Quote. This is the result of rapidly increasing demand in the diabetes and obesity glucagon-like peptide, blah, 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 agnostic medications market, and comes off the back of multiple long-term, multi-year contracts totaling 3 billion with potential upsides. Closed quote, right? And let me just take you, anybody that let me just specify the point here. Potential upsides, multi-billion dollar contracts on the back of rapidly increasing obesity and diabetes. Where's that coming from? Who are the people that are basically perpetuating an increase in diabetes and obesity? But it's seen as
Those
a
five
business,
companies.
and it's seen as an opportunity by big business just to keep doing more of the same. And that's hot off the press this morning, Trina. Press release. It's a press release.
Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, that's why I do the mind body spirit alignment. Stop eating processed foods. It's all poison and it's been poison for a long time. Don't use scented products. Less is more. Grow your own food as much as you can. And you don't know if you're eating an actual burger anymore. You know, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. And also, don't eat any products from China because, yeah, just saw an amazing documentary on that. They, the people of China are rallying against their government because there are so many people manufacturing fake rice that has plastic in it, fake meat that has plastic in it. It's just diabolical. Um, Yeah. And it's not just one country. So don't get me, I'm not China bashing. They're
Mm-hmm.
all a collective hegemonic force that makes us think they're at war with each other, but they're not at war with each other for integral, high integrity reasons that this person, this country is wrong and this guy, they just want power to screw everybody over. And they're just trying to see which one will be the big boss. That's it. That's it. So wake up,
I
people.
love, and do you know what I've loved about us catching up today? And I hope people have got value from it as well. It's just, I feel like we're getting into an increasing groove as well, even on this show, just
Mm,
around the clarity and the ease with which we can dance around these topics, right? And we want to remind people out there that are watching, like, we want to invite you in as well. This isn't just Sahana, Trina, and Gary. Like, if you want to come and join us, share your perspective, challenge what we're saying, like, it's all good.
please.
Like we're here to learn, we're here to co-create, we're here to remember and reimagine. Like, what we're also here to go, oh, excuse me, fuck the hegemony, It's hurt. It's hurting.
Yes,
It's hurting too many people, and it's even hurting those that think it's good for them. That's how
that's right.
narcissistic and crazy this whole situation is. Whether you've got $1
That's right.
billion a year or $10,000 a year, the same system is killing us all. We
That's
are in the
right.
midst of the sixth mass extinction. Like every bit of data is pointing to that. Every bit of evidence is pointing to that, and we've got a choice. We rally against
That's
it. We try and have conversations like this to try and reimagine better, or we just go along with it and see you on the afterlife. Maybe.
yeah. Maybe lay down and let it bulldoze us over, and I'm not about that. Never have been. My neurospicy self is like, this is wrong, and
I love that. Neurospice
you
is
know,
brilliant. That is so. That is that on your link? I'm going to check. Is that on your LinkedIn? If not, it needs to be.
no,
That needs to be on your LinkedIn.
I'll add it because of your suggestion. But it's just my acknowledgement that when you don't think in the same way as you've been purposely tried to be, and I'm one that was the ultimate masker. Something you mentioned about that book is that there are several masks
Mm-hmm.
that we all have to wear to be a part of the hegemonic group at somewhere in the ladder. And having been close to the top and choosing to go down because it just started feeling dirty, it just started feeling sick. I started hating myself, like you said. Um, I I look the part, I play the part, but I don't want to be a part of it anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is what I always tell people about celebrities. They're slaves. They just have a higher income, but they're just like us.
Yes.
They have just like that. And I honestly will say the higher your income is, the grosser the things you have to do to be a part of it, because they don't ever want them to have the same level of power that they do. So you have to do a lot of sacrifice, and it's disgusting what they have to do. So yeah, don't don't do the worshiping idolatry, because that's an energy in itself, and it's not for your good. It's not for your good. But I know you got a
I
boogie.
do need. I don't want a boogie, but like this is just us all over, right? That's half an hour. Bosh. Like I'm really hoping people got value. If you're listening back, this will go onto the podcast, right, Trina, as well at some point as
Right.
well. Do you want to
Yes,
let
it
people know
will.
about the podcast version as well, maybe before we head off?
Yeah, we Beyond Hegemony is on Spotify. It's been awesome. It's been increasing. I try to get these episodes up there on there as soon as possible. I also have my own podcast, EQ Above IQ, Parenting with Emotional Intelligence and Healing the Inner Child, which has been kind of doing its thing for almost 4 years now. So it's been awesome. Um, please support. There's a link on the podcast if you want to show us your thanks monetarily. So you can click on that, and then we can, pay us a little bit of for our time. But we don't do it for that, obviously. We do it because it is our purpose and our passion to wake everybody up. I know we can collectively awaken now, and I know we can stop, stand together, oppose persecution. That's I've created a acronym out of those words because um, we have to stop.
So good. And I'm just going to just plug one other thing from my side. So I'm really grateful that Trina and Sahana, my co-hosts of this amazing show, I'm in the process of building an ecosystem of transformative change agents, basically, because the McKinseys aren't going to do this. The Accentures aren't going to do this. The Ernst & Youngs, with love to all of you, you're not going to change what needs changing. And I believe that we together on a self-organized, co-creative basis can. So if you're a senior leader, CEO, chief human resource officer, you're working in a corporate space in the West, like have a look at radicality.co.uk. You'll find a great bio of a Trina. You'll find Johanna, myself, and another 12 amazing human beings that are all working in genuinely transformative spaces to do with mindset, organizational design, learning development. It's not about moving the deck chairs on the Titanic. It's about reimagining the whole model that is more inclusive, just, and centers those most harmed. Because guess what, people? 85% of the world's population are not able to be in this conversation today. And our role is to try and ensure that they are centered, they are seen. And it's good for all of us when we eventually reach that hallowed land of inclusivity, justice, and living off of the land again in a way that's actually generative, right? So
That's
we're,
right.
we're on our way, Trina. We're on our way.
That's right. And if you aren't on, you can follow me on TikTok at This Real Life Coaching as well. Gary's on there as well, and I'm posting videos from time to time. But also, I've been showing lots of pictures of my garden, which is blossoming. Uh, so I'm excited to share that. And I do hope everybody got value today. And thank you for listening. And thank you for joining us on this live. And also, if you want to be involved, like Gary says, please DM me, him, or Sahana, and we'll get you on. So I do hope everybody has a blessed day. See you later, Gary.
See you, Trina. Take care, everyone. Much love.
Miss you, Sahana.